This is Drew,
I'm Scott.
Nashville Soccer Club Fan TV, coming up with a 1-1 draw against CF Montreal. So there's a lot to say.
Oh my gosh. So first off, let's start with the subs.
Okay.
Let's start with
There-
the subs. Despite the fact that we could start with the starters, let's start with the folks who didn't start.
So Zimmerman came on, Randall Leal came on, Anunga came on, and the last was Donladi came on, and he was the goal scorer, number 7. Yeah, that which is an amazing header. But I guess there's a question then: why wasn't Leal starting, and why wasn't Zimmerman starting?
So I can imagine that Zimmerman probably was on the bench, maybe because of the fact that he wasn't able to make practice and maybe wasn't able to make training. And so that's my hypothesis about why Zimmerman didn't start and probably wasn't going to play 90. I'm inclined to think that the reason why Leal didn't start was because they wanted Hackinson to get the start, and then they were going to do the switch and sort of play the switch with those two. So I think that there's some justifiable reasons to have it flipped out. But that said, I think that I would take Randall Leal for 70 minutes. Over pretty much any of our other outside midfielders, and so it all worked out okay. But I don't think that that's the decision I would have made. If I had Hackinson come on for any of our standard starting midfielders, I think I would have rather seen him in for Moyle.
I think that's right. And Moyle, we were talking about earlier, started off kind of shaky. A lot of bad passes, weird attempts, and it wasn't until the latter, half, maybe last 5 minutes of the first half that he started having a real positive impact on the game. So him coming for Leal, I think, was a huge impact. May have been one of the ones that made the difference, honestly, when it came to getting past their goalie. Now, thinking about their team, though, I think number 3 was kind of something of a problem, right? What did you think about that? Him getting that card really late into the game too.
Well, so yeah, I think the first thing was that he had the sort of the double foot slide in the first half that didn't get a card. He just got a very stern talking to, and then but then he did get the card. But it looked to me like even that would have been stronger. Like it would have been one of these things where it's like it should have been a second yellow. I have one other thing to say, which was that their layout was so interesting. I was obsessed with watching how they were moving things around, especially their wingers and their number 12, who had great lockdown play from Johnston. Johnston completely locked down their number 12. He was not a factor in that game, but he was always dangerous. Like he had good crosses. He changed the way our defense played, because normally you see Johnston running up and down the sideline, effectively playing the role that their 12 was playing. But he, in some ways, kind of changed the way our defense played. Again, didn't make that huge a difference for us overall, and he didn't end up doing anything terribly dangerous for us. But in some ways, it was disruptive of the way that we normally will sort of play and rotate, especially around the sides.
I think that's right. One last question to do with that, the double 12 situation. So when Zimmerman came on, did you notice Johnston playing a little differently? Or what did you think about that? Did you think he was able to... So I saw him able to stay in the role he wanted to play, which is exactly what you're saying. Whereas before, right, he had to kind of drop back into the center. Anytime something would go through, he would have to fall back. But once Zimmerman came on, they gave him a little bit more freedom, right?
Yeah, and so I think that Walker Zimmerman changes the way that NSC plays. I think that we have high quality defenders, and then around him, but he himself is a sort of a next level defender. And so when he comes on, we're able to play in a way that is a little bit more free form. We can have people run forward, and they can commit to going forward, as opposed to being a lot more like look over your shoulder as you're running forward. So he changes the way we play because he gives us a lot of freedom to be able to do that.
And I think it's just one last comment. It's kind of like Virgil for Liverpool, where if he's in the back, Alexander Arnold, Alexander Arnold can do whatever he wants. Robbo, do whatever he wants. So, great. Thank you. This has been Scott with NSC Fan TV. This is Drew signing off.